Hey guys, welcome to the uidesign channel where I'm teaching to design user interfaces. And this series we are designing a booking flow, a travel booking flow for an airline in this case. And in the first video we designed a homepage for this website. So make sure you go and check that out. I am leaving the link somewhere here. And this is part 2, where we are going to design the search widget states and also animating it in Figma with the Smart Animate. And we have the search widget down here. And obviously we have a from to depart when we want to fly, and there is a passenger input field as well. So in this tutorial we are going to design the states, which is the city selector, a date selector, and the passenger selector. So let's get started. We only need a few icons for this part. I am going to include this Figma file that you can download so you can follow along. So first, these hover states, I want to display this city selector in the above the hero area. So for now I'm going to hide these things for now. So now I'm going to just lock these elements for now that we are not going to touch. We don't need them. And one part is going to be here, like it's going to pop up and you can select the cities. So let's start to design that. Let's just set the background. In the previous video we already defined these global colors, so make sure you check that out and do that, because it's a big help. So let's see. First, in this first column I want to include some European cities, and then cities from the United States, and then from Asia. So let's just quickly type these things, which is Alicante in Spain. The font size is 18 and the line height is 32. And I want to put this in auto layout, so I'm going to hit Command G or Control G on PC, and then add auto layout. Top and bottom padding is going to be 4, and left and right padding is going to be 16. Now we are just duplicating. Because we need a few of them. And the font weight is not right. I want to set it to medium. So now we duplicate it again. Sorry about that. And if you hit Command D or Control D, it's going to duplicate it and set it to the right space. So Alicante, let's say Barcelona. What are the other cities? Berlin, Copenhagen, Gran Canaria, Salzburg. And up to here I want to put a title, like a label, which is Europe, but this one is going to be smaller, 14, also medium, or we can even go with regular and set the color to gray. I also want to set the global colors for this one, which is white, and we are going to select all of these cities, and again hit Command G or Control G. In this case they are evenly spaced, so we can just create auto layout, and then we need to duplicate it. You can hit Command D or Control D, or hold Alt Option and drag it to the right. And this one we are not going to need. So more cities: London, Paris, Reykjavik, Tenerife, Tromsø, and maybe this one, Malmö. Okay, now we have the Europe locations. So the next one is the United States. We can do the same, hold Alt Option and just drag it to the right. We change this to United States and type some cities, locations: Atlanta, Austin, Boston, Baltimore, Chicago, and Cincinnati. Okay, let's add a few more. Again, hold Alt Option and drag it to the right. So we duplicate it. We don't need this one, we already have. And the second column, some more cities: Charlotte, Denver, Detroit, Houston, let's say Kansas and Las Vegas. I'm just stretching this one a bit more and add a few more. Memphis, Miami, New York, Oakland, Omaha, and Phoenix. And here I want to put some Asian cities. So let's say Asia, and put the cities like Chiang Mai. I'm not sure I'm saying it right. Sorry about that. Kyoto, Mumbai, Seoul, Tokyo, okay. Now all the columns are in auto layout, and I want to put this whole thing in auto layout. So we are just going to select all the columns holding down shift. So we are grabbing all of them and just make these columns to auto layout. The space between them can be 24, but maybe we will change that later. And I want to already put a selected one, which is Tromsø, and let's set the background to the neon gradient and corner radius 8, and change the font color to this dark one. Okay, so this is pretty good for now. I am going to delete the background because I want to set the background for the whole auto layout. That is going to be this light blue or light grayish blue. And I want to add padding, let's say if 24 works. Okay, that's actually not bad. And the corner radius for the whole section is 12. And I want to create this same effect like we used to this on these cards or below the search widget. So to make that, I am going to detach this style, set the filling to 80, and I am going to add an effect here that is going to be background blur, and I'm going to set the blur size to 24. Okay, so maybe the 80 is still not good. Let's see, 90. Okay, I like that better. And I want to put separators between these things, between the, let's say, continents. So I am going to draw a rectangle, set the width to 1 and the color to this light blue 3, And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to drag inside this auto layout section, and it's already inside. It's not that visible, so we are going to change this to the gray, but now it's too bright, so maybe set the opacity to 40. Okay, that's better. I'm going to duplicate this, hitting the Command D or Control D, and just simply drag over, because I want to separate these things, these continents. This is just a bit too high. Which is 287 now. I want to lower the height of this. So now we set these separators to smaller sizes. I want to align everything in this container to align vertically to the middle. So I'm just going to do this here, center alignment, but now we have a problem with Asia. So we just need one more cities, and everything is going to fall into place, and that is going to be Osaka. Okay, it's done. One last thing to do is just to align it here, and I want to make a little indicator where is it coming from, and for that I'm using the pen tool, and I'm drawing a polygon, holding down the shift is going to put it into 45 degrees. So just hold down the shift and click, and then connect. For now I'm just setting the background color to this neon so we can see what's happening. And we need to edit these points. So it's either double click or hitting enter, then you can see the points that you can edit. Just selecting this one and hold down the command or control key and just drag it. So now we have these things that we can shape the path, and need to set this one to no mirroring. And I want to set this to touch the middle. We are going to do the same with this one. First command, make the point editable and no mirroring, and this one set to the middle, and this one set to somewhere here. This one doesn't matter that much. Now select the last one, the bottom one, and do the same. Hold down Control or Command and drag. just putting this onto the grid. And now we have this little indicator that helps. Maybe set it a bit bigger, and the background is the same as this one, but we also need to add the background blur, which is 24, and we also need to detach the color and set the fill to 80. Okay. Just going to rename it very quick and group this. So now we have the first selector, which is the city selector. Okay. To create the second one, which is the calendar, I'm just going to duplicate this frame and delete this search widget. And for the calendar, it's going to be the same effect, that we are hovering here and it's going to appear on the top of the hero area. But for the calendar, I'm going to use some components and variants to build the whole calendar. So let's start to do that. Obviously the calendar contains numbers, so we are going with numbers. The font size is 18. This can be medium and the color is white. And I want to put this to auto layout, holding down Command or Control G, and then add auto layout. For the padding, let's see if 16 works. Maybe that's a bit too much. Let's add the background, which is this dark color, just to see what we are doing and how big is the padding. And the line height is 32, so maybe this is too much. Okay, so now it's the width and the height I want to be the same. So 40 is pretty good, but let's see if we type in a longer number. Maybe I'm not going to use left and right padding. I'm going to set the width of this auto layout to fixed, and the width is 40, and the alignment is center. So either we have like just a single digit or a double digit, it's not going to stretch. I want to put this in a component. So let's do that and rename this to calendar elements. And I want to add some variants because we have, when you select a date, we have a state for that. When there is no dates or no flights in the calendar, we have a state for that. So we have different states. And to do that, just need to click this add variant button. And let's say that this one is the default one. I rename this to states. And the calendar is not going to have background, the default ones, but the selected ones will have. So this one is, let's say, current date or current day. And let's add a few more, because we need to have a selected one. Selected, and the background for that is this neon gradient with the font color of the dark gray, and the corner radius I want to make it as a circle, so the corner radius is 40. And when we are selecting dates in the calendar, we have a starting date, during date, and an end date. So let's say this one is the starting one. The background is the same, this neon gradient. The font color is our dark color. And for this one, I want to set only the left top corner radius and the left bottom corner radius. Let's say 20. This we don't need to add the corner radius, it's just simply going to be the neon gradient and the font color is the dark. The end one we do the same, but we invert it. Not invert it, we flip it horizontally. Let's set the background and the font color. And the radius is 20 and 20. Okay. So this is the default. This is the selected, this is the current, this is the default. I think we need one more state, that is the past day, and the font color for that is the gray, and we don't need the background. And actually here we don't need backgrounds as well. So now we have the calendar elements. Let's start to build the calendar. So I'm just going to search the components here. That is this name, what we gave. So let's type that in. There you go. And from here, we simply just duplicate it and put it to auto layout. So we need 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great. And select all the elements and put it to auto layout. I rename this to first, and I'm going to duplicate the whole row. Four times, and select all of these rows and put it to auto layout again, and then we can add the fill that is our dark, actually light blue color. The padding, for now I'm setting to 16. The corner radius is 12. And I'm just going to add these numbers quickly. Okay, this is enough. Delete these ones, and let's say the first 4 days are the past dates, so they are not that prominent, and we want to have a selected state, which is, sorry, I forgot to name this state, so let's just go back quickly. So this one is the starting day, this is the during, and this is the end, and that already has. So let's say we are traveling from 16 to 20. Just going to select this component and change to start. The 17, 18, and 19 set to during, and the 20 set to the end. And actually we used a neon gradient here, but it's much better if we use just the simple neon color that we have. Okay, so we also need the day names above this row and the month selector. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate this row, because this is already good. We just need to set the font to a smaller size and just need to type in the names of the day. And I am also setting the font size to smaller because we don't need this big, and that is 14. And the colors all needs to be this gray. And to rename it, just hit enter and type in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we need to add the month selectors above, and for that we need a chevron on the left and the right. So let's draw a rectangle first that is 40 by 40, and let's create a chevron quickly with the pen tool or pass tool, and put down the first one, hold down the shift, so it's going to put in the right direction, which is 45 degrees, and click again, still holding it down the shift, and click again, and put this in the middle and group it. What we also need is the name of the month, that is November, and the size is not 14, it's 18. I'll just rename it to chevron and duplicate it and flip horizontally. Select all of these items, the months items, and align vertically. And I want to put it again to auto layout, so Command G and auto layout, and let's say this is the months selector, and if we are drag it inside here, this should actually work. Yes. These chevrons can be fixed, but the months is I'm setting to fill container, and now we have too much space between the elements, so from 73 I'm setting it to 0 and set the alignment to middle, and also text alignment to center, and the month selector is not fixed now, it's fill container, so it's going to align with the rest of the elements, the date elements, the date names, and the date numbers. Obviously we don't need this background, so we can just set it to 0, and the chevron is going to be a white color and maybe a bit thicker, let's say 2, and edge of these lines is round. Okay. Now what I want to do is duplicate this whole section to have at least 2 months side by side. So when the user selects a date, they can see at least 2 months. So it's easier to select if something they want to travel from 27 to the December of 4th. Just rename it to December. And we don't need these chevrons, so I'm going to delete this. And we don't need this one either. So now that we have both months side by side, I'm going to select both of them, and we don't need the background because we are going to group them and set a background for both of them. So we can select, put it to auto layout, set the fill to this light blue, the corner radius is 12, and don't forget to add the effects. That is our background blur to 24. But for that effect to appear, we need to detach the color and set the opacity to 80 or 90. It depends on your taste. And in this month, we don't need anything selected, so we can just switch back to default. We also need that this little indicator that we created in the city selector. So I'm just simply going to grab that copy and paste it here. I'm going to Command G to group it and rename it to calendar. And there we have it. We have the calendar widget. I'm just going to align this little indicator. Okay, so the last one is the passenger selector. So I'm going to duplicate this frame, delete this calendar, and the icons are here, including this file. So we don't need to draw them, just work with them. So let's start to design the passenger selector. It's going to be pop up here, just like the other ones, above the input fields. And for this one, I actually want to put this in components as well. So let's say create a component, the name is packs, and create variants. Let's create 3. And we need to grab these elements and Command C or Control C. We are going to copy them. Select the elements in this variant and delete them. Select the layer variant 2 and Command V or Control V to paste these elements inside, and we are going to do the same with the baby. So Command C, delete these ones, select the element and paste it, and let's say the state is packs, and the first one is adult, The second one is child, and the third one is infant. Okay, so we don't need these anymore. So for this one, let's search again the packs, grab it to the document, to the designing area, and we need the name. It's 18 and medium, that's fine. Let's set the line height to 24. Duplicate this and say over 11. And the font size is 14. And the font weight is regular. And the font color is the gray color that we have. We need some buttons here, a minus and a plus, and the number between. So let's create that. Draw an ellipse of 32. Maybe a bit bigger, so let's say 40. And with a pen tool, draw a simple line. The weight is 2, the color is our dark color, and the edge is rounded. The background is the neon gradient. Let's align this to the middle. And let's check if it's in the middle. It's a bit too big here. So I'm going to edit the path and just grab it. Rename it to button and Command D or hold down the Alt and just simply drag it to the right. Select this one, duplicate Command D and just turn. And I just made a mistake because it's much higher, the padding on the right side. So let's edit this one again. And now it's 12 and 20. Okay, perfect. So drag it again, select this line, rotate, duplicate it and rotate it. So now we have the minus and plus buttons. And in the middle, we are putting a number. This 24 or 32. Maybe 24, but we will see better when we put this little widget to the hero area. So let's not bother with the size now. Grab all of these three elements, the minus, the plus, and the number, and put it to auto layout. I think it's a bit too much between, so let's say 12. No, that's very low, so 16. And I'm going to put this text to auto layout as well, and the icon and text as well. To auto layout, between it can be 12, but again we will see better. The alignment is center, and let's rename this text icon and text and buttons. Select everything and again put it to auto layout, set it to the middle, and set the spacing mode between the space between. So when we are dragging or stretching this element, these are all following the edges of the frame. Okay, so let's rename this to box selector. I'm going to duplicate it again, and that's why we put the components into variants. So now we're just selecting it and set to the child and rename this to child between. Maybe we don't need the between, just 2 to 11. Duplicate the whole thing again, and this is going to be our infant. So from the variant, select infant, and this one is 0 to 2. Select everything again, put to auto layout, and now we are adding the fill with the background blur. So select this light blue, give some padding, let's say if 24 is enough, the corner radius is 12, and detach the color so we can add the background blur, add the effects, background blur, and set it to 24. And we need the little indicator again, so let's just grab it from the previous frame and put it here, not inside, just outside. Select everything and align them to the center. Okay, group this and rename to Bax selector. Okay. So now we have this as well, so it's pretty good. Adult, child, infant. Okay, everything is correct. That's great. Now we are going to create that animation, prototyping animation that you saw in the beginning of this video, which is actually pretty simple. Let's place this here. So we need 3 states. We need the city selector, we need the calendar, and we need the pack selector. Now we have all of that, so we can begin to create the prototype. We need one more copy of this. And one more to just create the intro animation. This one for now. City selector. City selector. So just going to rename it super fast and set the opacity to 0 for now, and Let's create the intro animation. That is going to be super easy. We just need to unlock everything. And for example, I want the menu to appear from the top to the bottom to its position. I want this headline to appear from the left. Same for the CTA button to appear from the left. The search widget to appear from the bottom. And these cards to the left and right and turning a little bit. And this one is just going to turn, just going to rotate. So if you want to do that, it's very simple. We go to prototype mode. This is the starting point. And we are going to grab this plus icon and set to here. And we're gonna say not on click, after delay, like 300 milliseconds. And we set this not instant or dissolve is set to smart animate. Because the thing is with smart animate that everything is going to, first of all, we have the same frames, exactly the same frames next to each other, and we are going to connect them. But if in the first frame we are, let's say we are going to move this to the left and that one is to the left, the smart animate will know that if it jumps to the next frame, it's just going to smart animate it back to its normal position. So if you want to check that, let's start the flow and let's see what happens. Yeah, as you can see, it's just animating back to its normal state. So we can, it's very good because it's very easy to animate. So we can do this simple movement with all the elements. So let's grab the menu now, the header, and move it out of the frame on the top. I'm not moving it with the mouse because sometimes you can drag sections or objects out of the frame, and it's not going to be good for the smart animate because the frame needs to contain those objects. So what I've done, I hit shift and I was just constantly hitting the arrow. So in this case, it's not going to get out of the frame. I would say I give a bit more to the left, maybe to align with this one, and set the opacity to 0. With this one, I'm just going to rotate it like this and also set the transparency or opacity to 0. And with these cards, I am dragging to the left, turning it, and set again the transparency to 0. This the same effect but on the right, so just drag it to the right, set the transparency to 0, and then rotate it maybe a bit more. And with the search widget, I am selecting it, holding down shift and moving down with the arrows until it disappears from the frame. So let's see now what happens. Just hit this play button, and if you want to refresh it, you hit the R key on your keyboard. So I think it's good. but it's a bit too fast. So to change that, it's very simple. Just click on the connection, and I'm going to set this to maybe 1000. And let's see again, hit R. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so now we have this intro animation. We can start creating the selectors to appear above each input fields. So let's do that. Setting back to this the design workflow. So this is our first frame. This is the intro animation between. But for the selectors to appear, we need to have them already here. We already have the city selector. I'm just setting the transparency to 0 and move down maybe 30 pixels, holding down the shift and moving down with the arrow key. And the calendar widget, I'm just going to copy it, Command C or Control C, and putting back to this frame with Command V or Control V. And set the transparency to 0 as well, and move down to 30 pixels by holding down shift and moving down with the arrow 1, 2 and 3. And I'm going to do the same with the back selector as well. Command C or Control C to copy it, Command V or Control V to paste it, and set the transparency to 0 again. And with holding down the shift key, move down these 30 pixels as well. And for now, let's go back to the prototype workflow, and we are going to select these that is now currently on logs, so that's why I couldn't grab them. So we want the city selector to appear above this one, so we are grabbing this and connecting to the next frame where the city selector is. The smart animate can be like this. Maybe this one is a bit too slow, so I'm going to set it to 300, and it's not on click, it's on while hovering. Okay. Now do the same with the date. The date is connecting here. Smart animation 300, and not on click, it's while hovering. And the last one is the pack selector. Connect this to the last frame, and smart animation on click set to while hovering. Okay, click outside and start our prototype again. Okay, the intro animation is working. That's pretty good. Now let's see if the hovering effect works. Okay, that's nice. We have the city selector. Let's see if the date is working. It's working as well. It's very good. And the pack selector. So now we have a search widget with all the states that we need to start a booking flow. So guys, I hope you really like this video. Make sure you check part 1 as well, where we designed the homepage. And If you want to see more of these great videos, or you really like these videos, please hit the subscribe button and the like button as well, because it helps this little channel to grow in the future. And see you next time. Bye bye.